You know, when you picture a massive North Korean military parade, this probably isn't the first face that comes to mind. A young woman, a hint of a smile. She really doesn't look like much of a threat, does she? And yet, so many experts are calling her the most dangerous woman on the planet. This is Kim Yo-jong, sister of Kim Jong-un. And today we're going to pull back the curtain and see just how she managed to quietly build her own incredible web of power.
And this right here is the central puzzle of Kim Yo-jong. It's like looking at two completely different people. On one hand, you have the diplomat. Remember her at the 2018 Winter Olympics? All smiles, charming the world, presenting this soft side of North Korea. But then there's the other side, the iron fist. The woman who threatens nuclear war and, as we're about to find out, ordered a peace building to be blown to bits. Two faces, one person. It's a study in contradiction.
So, that's the big question, isn't it? Who is the real Kim Yo-jong? Is she the smiling diplomat, or is she the ruthless dictator in waiting? Or is she somehow both at the same time? To even begin to answer that, we've got to go all the way back.
All right, let's start with how she first appeared on the world stage. For a long time, she was basically invisible, a silent shadow always there, but never the one in the spotlight.
I mean, for years, the world just didn't notice her. If you saw her at all, she was in the background of a photo, and everyone just assumed she was a personal assistant. You know, holding documents, pointing things out. Some reports even say she held the ashtray for her brother. She just seemed completely devoted and totally unimportant.
But her real debut, the one that mattered, happened right here. This is her father's funeral back in 2011. It's her first official public appearance. And look where she's standing, right there, near her brother. Now to you and me, she was just some random person in the crowd. But for those in the know, this was a massive signal. This meant she was officially in. She was part of the inner circle. And that bond, that powerful connection with her brother, well, it wasn't forged in North Korean palaces. It was forged in secret, halfway across the world.
Yeah, to really get their almost unbreakable alliance, we have to go back to their childhood. Because they grew up living a secret life, under fake names, with spies watching their every move, while going to school in Switzerland of all places.
This timeline really shows you just how bizarre their upbringing was. She's sent off to a school in Bern, Switzerland in 1996. Her brother joins her a few years later. I mean, think about that. They're living in the heart of a Western democracy, but they're completely cut off, completely isolated. Their training to become future dictators was already happening right under everyone's noses.
Because this whole time, their entire life was basically a lie, an incredibly elaborate performance staged and directed by Pyongyang.
I mean, just look at these details. It's wild. She wasn't Kim Yo-jong, she was Park Mi-hung. Her brother wasn't Kim Jong-un, he was Park Un. They lived in this totally normal, modest apartment so they wouldn't stand out, but it was bugged and watched 24/7 by North Korean officials. They even had a secret security team pretending to be regular people. So on the surface, they're just a couple of kids, but behind the curtain, a whole state apparatus is making sure they're protected and prepared.
Okay, so after this secret life in Europe, she comes back home to North Korea. And she doesn't just get any job. She takes control of the regime's single most powerful weapon, its propaganda machine. And this is where we start to see who she really is.
The big year to remember is 2014. That's when she gets her first major official title, Vice Director of the Propaganda and Agitation Department. Now, that might sound like some boring government job, but you have to understand, in North Korea, that department doesn't just report reality, it creates it. And yeah, she didn't just warm the bench as vice director. Nope, she pretty much immediately became the real boss, the mastermind behind her brother's entire public image. And her one job? Turn Kim Jong-un into a living god. And she was brilliant at it. She copied everything. His haircut, the way he dressed, even his gestures from their grandfather, the godlike founder of the country, Kim Il-sung. This is so important. It means she's just as responsible for the regime's power and its horrors as her brother is. She wasn't just helping him, she was building him.
Okay, so now we get to the moment where everything changes. The moment the smiling diplomat disappears and we hear the real Kim Yo-jong for the very first time. It all started with a crisis. Her brother vanished. A huge power vacuum opened up, and into that void stepped his sister.
So the scene is April 2020, and all of a sudden, Kim Jong-un is just gone. Poof, vanished from public view. The rumor mill went absolutely insane. Was he sick? Had he died? For weeks, the world held its breath, and all we got from North Korea was complete, deafening silence. Nobody knew what was going on.
And then, breaking that silence, a voice. It was the first personal statement ever issued in Kim Yo-jong's own name. And just listen to her first words to the world aimed right at South Korea. They are frightened dogs who are barking. Whoa, this was not the language of diplomacy. This was the raw, unfiltered voice of a dictator. She was sending a message, loud and clear. My brother might be gone, but I am here, and I am in charge.
It was an absolutely masterful power play. Let's break it down. Step 1. Kim Jong-un disappears, creating chaos and a power vacuum. Step 2. She doesn't hesitate. She jumps right into that vacuum with her own aggressive voice, showing everyone she has the authority. And then, step 3, the kicker. When her brother finally comes back, is she in trouble? Not a chance. She's rewarded with even more power. This moment proved it. She wasn't just an assistant or an advisor. She was the regime's Iron Lady.
So now that we've heard her voice, let's talk about the actions. Because her resume is filled with some truly brutal stuff that paints a picture of someone who is absolutely ruthless.
You have to understand, in that regime, loyalty is everything, and even family isn't safe. Back in 2013, her own uncle was executed. The official reason? He didn't clap hard enough for his nephew. And it's widely believed that Kim Yo-jong was one of the key figures who signed off on that chilling order.
And it didn't stop there. Remember this story? In 2017, her own half-brother, Kim Jong-nam, was assassinated in a Malaysian airport with a chemical weapon. It was a brazen, public murder, and all fingers pointed directly back at the Kim regime, and at her, for helping to eliminate another potential threat to their power.
And just to make sure everyone knew her threats weren't just talk, in June of 2020, she gave the order to literally blow up the North-South Peace Office. This wasn't a military target. This building was the symbol of diplomacy, the one place for peace talks, and she had it turned into a pile of rubble, just to send a message.
And her words are just as explosive as her actions. I mean, look at her language. People who escape North Korea, they're scum and filthy dogs. The President of the United States, just an old man with no future. South Korea's president, America's hungry dog. This isn't how diplomats talk. This is the pure, unfiltered language of absolute power.
So that brings us to today, and to the very real and frankly very scary possibility that we are looking at the next person in line to control North Korea's nuclear weapons.
Right now, make no mistake about it, Kim Yo-jong is the undisputed #2 in the entire country. She's on the most powerful government body, and she's become the official voice of the regime. She now issues the kind of threats and statements that used to only come from the supreme leader himself. The consensus among experts is clear. If anything happens to Kim Jong-un, the power goes directly to her.
Which leaves us with one last really chilling question. For years, the world wrote her off as just a quiet assistant in the background. But now we've seen how smart she is, how ambitious she is, and just how brutal she can be. So if she does take over, is the world ready for a dictator who might be even more ruthless and even more dangerous than a brother? That is a question we might just